Okay, here's page 2 of our review. So each week, Michael removes money from his bank account to be used for lunch. The amount that remains in his bank account is shown on the table below. Which equation models this situation? So there's 5 answers, which means there's going to be more than one correct option here. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead first, and looking at each of these answers, I'm going to write them all so that they have no simplifying to take place. So this first one is already 21 minus 5n. B is 26 minus 5n. C is 21 minus 5n minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute this to there and there. So for C, I'm going to have 21 minus 5n plus 5. That can be simplified to 26 minus 5n. Okay. So this is the same thing as 26 minus 5n. Hey, that's the same thing as the B equation, okay? All right, so then the second one, I'm going to take this negative 5n and distribute that. So I'm going to have 26 minus 5n plus 5. That would give me 31 minus 5n. And then I've got negative 5n plus 26. Okay, so when I'm looking at these, just looking at my equations, I want to see if I can find my y-intercept. Now remember, whenever we have the y-intercept, x is always 0. Well, here I don't have any values for x that are 0, but I can see that I went from 1 to 2 to 3, 4, 5. So if I go back the other way, I'll be at 0. Okay, so instead of adding 1, I'm just going to subtract 1 to get to my y-intercept. So then what was the y value when x was 0? Well, let's see. Each week we were 21 to 16 is minus 5. 16 to 11 is minus 5. 11 to 6 minus 5. So instead of subtracting 5 each time, what I'm going to do is add 5. So that would have given me 26. So at 0 weeks, he had $26 in his bank account. So 26 is the y-intercept. Okay, so that's my constant value. So when I go look at all my equations, I'm going to look for ones that have a constant value of 26 and a slope of negative 5. Okay, so A does not have either of those. Well, it has a slope of negative 5, but it does not have a y-intercept of 26. B has a y-intercept of 26 and a slope of negative 5, so B is an answer. C also has a y-intercept of 26 and a slope of negative 5, so C is an answer. D has a y-intercept of 31, so it is not going to be D. And E has a y-intercept of 26 and a slope of negative 5. So that one's also a correct answer. So I have 3 answers on this one. It is B, C, and E. Okay, all right, try 7B. All right, 8A, given this function, identify the 3 transformations that occur on the parent function of x squared. Okay, so let me go over a couple of pieces here when we were talking about translations. Remember that the A, whether it's a positive A, it will open up. If it's a negative A, it opens down. So that positive or negative will make it reflect over X. Okay. We talked about the H value. Okay, that one is always the opposite, and that makes it move left or right. So translates left or right, and this one is the one that does the opposite. we said anything inside with the x, when we take it out, it becomes the opposite. And the k, well, that one's not inside the parentheses. So this one is going to translate either up or down. Okay, if it's a positive k, it moves up. If it's a negative k, it moves down. So now let's go look at this equation and see if we can make sense of any of this. All right, so there is a negative a value, even though we don't put it, it is a 1. So that one reflects over the x-axis. Okay. And the negative 1 on the inside of the group or inside that factor, that one is going to do opposite. So instead of moving to the left, it's going to move to the right. And it's going to move to the right 1 unit. And the negative 3 on the outside is going to move down 3 units. Okay. Go ahead and try 8B, please. Okay, so Miss Banker saved up money to buy a variety of sweaters before recording her new television show. The sweaters, the function T of S equals negative 1850S plus 400 can be used to represent the situation. The variable S can be represents the number of sweaters. Identify the Y-intercept, or the constant value of the function. The Y-intercept is 400. So remember, this is when X is always 0. Okay, what does that mean? So what is 400 talking about? Is it talking about 400 sweaters or $400? Well, I don't know if Miss Banker has $400 sweaters, but I'm going to go with that since we're talking about the cost, we're talking about money. So this is going to be $400 before purchasing sweaters. So that's what she started with. Identify the slope. Well, the slope is the number in front of the variable. So our slope in this case is negative 1850. Okay, remember, if you like it as a fraction, you can just put it over 1. Okay, interpret what that means. Well, negative 1850, that is the cost for 1 sweater. So to interpret the meaning is each sweater cost $18.50. And the reason that it's negative is because she's spending money away from her positive 400. Okay? All right, I want you to go try 9B, please. Okay, 10A. What is the value of y in the solution to this system of equations? I'm going to solve for y using substitution and elimination. You can choose whichever method you prefer. Okay, so first off, using substitution, I'm going to take the x out of the first equation and I'm going to replace it with what x equals from that second equation, because that second equation already had x isolated. So I've got 2 times whatever the x value is plus y equals 8. Okay, well, the x value in our case is 2y minus 1. Okay, so then we've got 2 times 2y is 4y minus 2 plus y equals 8. That gives me 5y minus 2 equals 8. Add 2 to both sides. And I get 5y equals 10. Divide both sides by 5. And we get y equals 2. Okay. All right, and the second one, it says I'm going to try with elimination. So before I can do elimination, I have to remember that all my x's and y's need to be on the same side of the equal sign. So the first equation already has a 2x and positive y on the left side of the equal sign. The second equation, I'm going to have to move that positive 2y to the other side. So I'll have 2x plus y equals 8. And then I'll have x minus 2y equals -1. I'm going to multiply this second equation times a -2 so I can cancel out the x's since I'm trying to find y. So I will have 2x plus y equals 8, -2x plus 4y equals +2. These two here will eliminate. Got 5y equals 10. Divide both sides by 5. And we get y equals 2. Either method will give us that same value. You've just got to find out which one that you're comfortable with and try that on 10B.